I finished drawing, I did not draw the value scale on the paper. I cut it out and placed it on the paper to use as a comparison for the values within the field. And as you can see, I have kind of an imaginary border space around the design, and I wanted this space to be blank over here because I had thought of adding the outline of the motorcycle over here, but I got this far and I like this, so I'm going to keep it this way and do another drawing where I can put the the tail end of the motorcycle in contour lines on this side just to see what it looks like. So as you can see in this module, we were introduced to the basic different types of shapes. So there's geometric shapes, and these happen to be primary geometric shapes. So the primaries are the basics: the square, the circle, the triangle, the oval, and the rectangle. And then these are the organic shapes where their lines are more fluid and curvy. And then these are the biomorphic shapes, which are also organic shapes. The difference is they're a little bit more rounded on all of the edges, all of the areas where the changes in contour happen. They're a little bit more rounded. And then these are abstract shapes, which are, you can kind of think of geometry mixed with organic to make abstract, right? So these are symbols that represent things that you find in nature, but obviously they're not realistic. Okay, so I used a series of geometric shapes. Now, the objects I drew, the shapes that I drew of the bike and the motorcycle contained circles, right? So these are the tires and the wheels, excuse me. So they contain circles, and because I left the detail out, they look like geometric shapes, right? So I went ahead and let that inspire me to tap back into some of those other primary shapes as part of my inscription design, as part of my inscribed shape. And then this, I'm not very clear on if you're drawing an object like a vehicle that is manufactured. It's not handmade, it's manufactured. The outline of the drawing is, it is geometric because these are manufactured objects, but the lines are resembling more organic kinds of aspects in some areas, and then more geometric in other areas. So I would say it's kind of a combination between geometric and a little bit organic and abstract. So these are the compound relationships that I was being aware of in this aspect of the drawing. I played around a lot with the tracings and tried detachment, tried touching, I tried overlapping. And so, and I do want to do a couple of more drawings where I'm playing with these specifically. But so this one would be penetrating, and I use the idea of penetrating with this top part of the motorcycle and this bottom part of the motorcycle. I had put a circle there. I had inscribed a circle right there, and the circle itself created this bottom arc. So it separated this, so that is a cut. So actually, in this case, the circle is cutting into the shape of the outer shape of the bike. And then once it cut, then the top and the bottom parts of the bike are separate. And then over here, I'm inscribing a square within this circle area, which is a combination of cutaway, but it's also a combination of penetrating, because when the square is penetrating the under circle, it creates a lighter area where the two shapes meet. So it's actually either penetrating or coinciding. And then I have union. So here I have a union. The circle cut into this seat right here, but instead of leaving the cut, I I allowed those separate shapes that happened when the cut occurred to be contiguous. And finally, okay, so we have inscribed and circumscribed. So it's confusing when you're looking at these because they look like the same thing. However, what's happening here is I inscribed a circle within the outer perimeter of this motorcycle. So in this example, you're seeing a circle inscribed within the outer perimeter of a square, right? But these are just models. These basic primary shapes are just examples of how to apply inscribing and circumscribing, but they don't have to be geometric shapes to follow the same rules. Okay, so I've got a series of inscribed and circumscribed shapes going on in here, and then the entire positive space, which is the two original shapes that are overlapping with the inscription of the shapes on top within the positive space. This positive space is floating, I'll use the word floating just to describe it, on a negative space, which is this light 6H. It's like maybe like a 4 on a scale of 1 to 9. These positive shapes are inscribed within this square, right? So the entire picture plane is part of the design. This is really part of the design, but I inscribed a square with these shape compounds. And then this is showing you the values that I applied, right? So if you look through the videos, you can see that I thought about it and sort of pre-planned and mapped it out before I did the values, right? So when you're doing your drawings, I'm expecting you to cut out your graduated value scale and compare it to your drawings so that you can see if you're correctly using values, or if you're just sort of throwing. A lot of beginning students just sort of slack off on the shading. But the whole point of taking a drawing class is learning how to draw, and shading is a very core aspect of learning how to draw. So it really doesn't make sense that you don't a student wouldn't invest some time into practicing their shading. Okay, so that's kind of a post analysis showing you how I have applied all of the content that we covered in this course into this drawing. I'm going to expect you guys to be able to explain the same kinds of relationships, though you don't have to make a graphic about this. I want you to be able to verbally articulate how, or attempt to verbally articulate how you have applied these different concepts to your drawing.